Hello, and welcome to Luna's Literary Corner. On this channel, I talk about books, grammar, and other literary avenues. Today, I'll be recapping the books I read in June. So, in June, I made the decision to give fanfiction a break because I wanted to focus on the books that I had checked out. This actually really helped as I got a lot of reading done compared to in May. Another thing that helped was that I decided to read for 30 minutes before I logged into my computer. This is a method I used back when I first began reading again in 2019 when I had trouble finishing books. I had a good month for reading and I introduced my first book theme, Hamilton. So a few of those books will show up on the list. And when I say a few, I mean one. Anywho, let's jump into the list. Beloved follows an escaped slave and the supernatural experience that occurs in her and her daughter's life. The past continuously haunts her, and as the story continues, we discover more about why her past has this effect on her. While I chose this book because of the book club I'm in, it has been one that I have always been interested in reading. Not only did my mom, who rarely reads, recommended it, but it is a classic piece of African American literature. One thing I worried about was that I would turn against it because of this status. It has happened many times where a book has been talked up so much and then I get started reading it and immediately it doesn't hold my interest as everyone says that it should. So, in order to help, I decided to read it alongside an audio recording. However, I had to put that audio recording aside about halfway through because I was reading it faster in my mind than the person was narrating it. While it was a fine book, I felt I had to force myself to finish it at times. However, once I started analyzing it, I really began to enjoy it. It's actually different than The Invisible Man by Ralph Ellison. With that one, I felt like I had to analyze it, and it reminded me too much of my AP English classes. But with this one, it had the opposite effect, where analyzing it made it better for me, which is interesting. Even though it's not a book I would read again for pleasure, the connections that Toni Morrison creates between the characters is interesting. And the way she weaves the characters' past into their every action is great. Overall, I gave this a 3 out of 5 stars. Alex and Eliza is a novel that follows the beginning stages of the romance between Alexander and Eliza Hamilton. This was the first book I read for my Hamilton book theme, and unfortunately, it was the only one I was able to finish. If you look at my blog, I do explain what happened with the other books I was reading for that month. But yeah, this was the only one I was able to finish. However, it was an enjoyable read, even if many other people say differently on Goodreads. Even though I knew how it would end, the tension I felt when someone came in between the two was very real. The downside I experienced with this book was that it never took the time to show off Hamilton's writing. That was something I was really excited for when it came to reading books about Hamilton. I was always told that Hamilton wrote his way into many things, both good and bad. And yet I did not get a chance to see Hamilton's writing and display in this book. Because of this, I was a little disappointed, but overall, it was an enjoyable YA story. Overall, I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. This nonfiction story, written by a former president's daughter, tells the story of a teenager from South America who is a single parent and living with HIV. I first came across this book when I was in middle school, and it's one that I revisited at least once a year while there. Rereading it now, I can see why it appealed to me then. Not only was the topic informative, but the chapters were also short and concise. I am not the biggest fan of nonfiction books, so this definitely helped there. However, reading it now, the chapters seem too short and choppy at times. The chapters have some odd breaks that interrupts the flow of reading for me. Despite this, I do believe this is a good book for middle school and high school students as it introduces students to a different life and perspective than they would normally encounter. Also, there are a lot of photos in there, so that kind of helps with them reading this nonfiction story. Overall, I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. This manga series follows a bounty huntress and an unassuming medicine peddler who happens to house the spirit of the infamous assassin Demon Eyes Kyo. In volumes 3 to 5, new characters are introduced and more background is revealed about Kiyoshiro and Demon Eyes Kyo. One of the things I really enjoyed is the background story revealed about Demon Eyes Kyo. The more information revealed, the more I want to learn more about him. The fight scenes are also interesting. Because of this, I'm actually excited to try and watch the anime. However, one of the most disappointing aspects of the series is the de-evolution of Yuya, the bounty huntress. As the volumes continue, she becomes less of an independent and strong character and becomes more of a cheerleader character. For many anime fans, I would say she reminds me of Sakura from Naruto in her early years. This is because Sakura was always seen as that kind of weak character, both in strength and mentality. And that's how this character was slowly becoming in my eyes. Um, at the end of volume 5, she actually makes a choice that seems empowering, but isn't because of how weak her character has become. Again, I'm eager to learn more about the backstory, but I'm not looking forward to how this character is becoming weaker. Overall, I gave Volume 3 a 4 out of 5 stars, Volume 4 a 3 out of 5 stars, and Volume 5 a 4 out of 5 stars. Alice in Murderland is a mixture of the fantastical elements of Alice in Wonderland and a battle royale story. The main character, Stella, has an alter ego named Bloody Alice who really loves her weapons. The interesting name was enough to engage me, but the wild plot kept my interest. I won't speak much about this specific volume plot-wise as I want to speak more about the series as a whole later on, but it's an enjoyable and quick read. Overall, I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. Okay everyone, I hope you enjoyed the video. I definitely achieved my goal of reading more this month. Now, I just want to try releasing this video earlier in the month. I'm always interested in learning more about other people's thoughts on books and authors, so if you have read any of the books that I read in June, leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Also, I'm always accepting of any book suggestions. Bye and have a wonderful day.